Hello, friends, I'm here with a new episode. And today, we are going to talk about how not to be scared of your dreams. In 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American to fly into space. His flight lasted 15 minutes, and unfortunately, because of strong vibrations, he lost consciousness for almost 4 minutes. It was the first time an American went into space, so the pressure was huge. But Shepard managed to complete his mission successfully. A few months later, he was interviewed and asked if he was scared during the launch. And Shepard replied, "I was never scared of the launch. It's what happened before the launch that really got me. All those people standing around talking to you, asking you technical questions, checking your suit and helmet, checking your spacecraft. They were so damn sure that I was gonna die. I started to think maybe they know something I don't. Okay, so why did they all think he would die? Well, up until that point, only one person had ever been launched into space and brought back safely. That person was a Russian cosmonaut named Yuri Gagarin. So when Alan Shepard was going through his training, everyone thought it might not work. What if Shepard's capsule didn't reach orbit? What if it exploded in midair or landed in the ocean somewhere where no one could find him? And these weren't just wild guesses, there were real possibilities. The Mercury 3 Redstone 4, which was the rocket that launched Shepard into space, had been tested several times before with dummy capsules, and 3 of those tests failed. But despite all the doubters, Alan Shepard kept working hard, and he ended up being the first American in space. This story has a very important lesson about the power of positive thinking. Your attitude can make all the difference in how others see you. Let me explain this concept using another example. This is the famous Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, the first human ever to go into space. In 1961, he completed one orbit of the Earth in a Vostok 1 spacecraft. He spent about 108 minutes in space, and after landing, he was interviewed about his experience. When asked about his feelings during the flight, he said, "I must admit that at moments I was afraid. Of course, who wouldn't be frightened at such a height? But I told myself I had been trained for this, and I knew I was fully prepared. Anyhow, I couldn't let it be known that I was scared." If you look at the history of human space exploration, there is one thing that becomes clear. Everyone involved in spaceflight, whether they are astronauts, scientists, engineers, or even government officials, they all have doubts and fears, but they never let it show. Because when you are in a leadership position, and you are in charge of a dangerous mission, you cannot show fear. Otherwise, other people will also be afraid. Your attitude is contagious. This brings us to our next great astronaut. This is Gus Grissom, the second American to fly into space. Grissom was actually scheduled to be the first American in space, but due to some unfortunate circumstances, he ended up launching second. Many people believe that he suffered from anxiety and depression because of this. But in reality, that's not true. It was just that Grissom was very open about his feelings. When he was preparing for his flight, he expressed doubt about the safety of the mission. He said things like, "I think this is a suicide mission, but I'll do it anyway." When the day of the launch finally arrived, his behavior was so weird that the NASA officials started to worry. They sent a psychologist to talk to him, but Grissom just said, "I've always felt this way, don't worry." Now, Grissom's behavior may have seemed strange to NASA, but it was quite normal for his family. You see, Grissom was a natural worrier. He worried about his kids, he worried about his farm, and he worried about flying into space. But instead of hiding his worries, he talked about them openly, and that's actually a good strategy. By expressing your worries out loud, you take away their power over you. In 1965, Gus Grissom was selected to be part of the Gemini 6 team. His job was to fly the command module. His partner, John Young, would fly the lunar module. Together, they would become the first astronauts to dock to spacecraft in orbit. As you can imagine, this was an extremely important mission for NASA. On December, Grissom and Young climbed into their spacecraft and were launched into orbit. Unfortunately, the spacecraft had a computer problem, and this caused the navigation system to fail. The computer started giving them incorrect information about their speed, altitude, and direction. With each passing minute, the situation became more chaotic. Finally, after 9 hours in space, the computer was reset and everything returned to normal. Grissom and Young had successfully completed their mission. The next year, however, Gus Grissom and his crewmates tragically lost their lives in a spacecraft accident. If you want to learn more about that, watch my video about Apollo 1, but for now, let's get back to the main topic. Gus Grissom was a very talented astronaut, and his attitude towards his fears and worries made him a great asset to NASA. He knew how to stay calm in difficult situations, and that's why he was chosen to lead the Apollo 1 mission. So remember, even though all of us have fears and worries, we should never let them control us. The way we handle our emotions determines who we are. So keep your cool and never let anyone else see you sweat. And now it's time for bed. Go wash your face and get into your pajamas. Remember to brush your teeth and don't forget to say a prayer before bed. I love you. Sweet dreams. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a little girl who was afraid of the dark. Every night when her parents would leave, she would get so scared that she would start crying. She would call out for her mom and dad, and sometimes she would even run away from home and hide in a cave. One day, her mother decided to take action. She went to the market and bought her daughter a magical lamp. Whenever you are scared, her mother said, rub this lamp and a genie will appear and grant you 3 wishes. The little girl was very happy with her new toy, and she played with it every day. One night, her parents left for a long trip, and the little girl started feeling scared. She rubbed the lamp and a genie appeared. You have scared me so much, she cried. Grant me a wish to never feel scared again. The genie waved his magic wand, and poof, the little girl was no longer afraid of the dark. For a whole year, she enjoyed her gift and never had a single nightmare. But then one night, she woke up in the middle of the night and saw that the room was pitch black. She was scared again. She called out for her parents, but they were on a business trip and no one was around. The little girl panicked and ran away from home. When she came across the same cave, she rubbed the lamp and wished for the sun to rise. The genie waved his magic wand, and poof, it was morning. The little girl was happy to see the bright sunshine, but she soon realized that she had used her last wish. She missed her parents, and she wanted them to come back as soon as possible. So she rubbed the lamp and begged the genie to grant her another wish. The genie was impressed by her bravery, and he granted her wish. Poof, her parents appeared in front of her. The little girl was so happy to see them again. She gave them a big hug and thanked them for coming back. From that day on, the little girl was no longer afraid of the dark. She knew that as long as she had her parents by her side, she could overcome any challenge. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe for more stories and leave a comment below with a thumbs up if you like the story. See you next time.